Hey, welcome back to the secret underground lair. As you can see, perhaps, I'm rewinding the Worktable Sawmill to make another cut. So I made one more change this morning on this sawmill. Swapped out the pulley from a 1.5 to a 2.5 inch pulley. That's still down from the 3.5 that was on here originally. So this lets the blade, this speeds up the blade again a little faster than we had before. And this blade is just ripping through this wood like there's no tomorrow. So I'm going to show you a couple cuts on this in real time as opposed to the time lapse, just so you can see how much faster this blade is actually running. So just cutting a lot of shiplap today, that's the goal. Finish off the cutting on this log and then cut on the table saw. Then we can put the shiplap on the kiln. That's today's adventure. So I'm going to make this cut in real time so you can see how fast this is. And I think what you're going to see is that we'll be done this cut in about the same amount of time as it was taking the time-lapse cuts. So I'm running this about 85, almost 90% of full speed of travel. So in fact, I may try to go up to 100 on this cut. It's just doing an amazing job. So without further ado, let's go. So that took just probably about 6 minutes to get through that log, get through that slice. I ran that one at 95%. The blade is just a little warm, not hot by any stretch. Yeah, I think just over room temperature. So not much strain there on that blade. So happy with that cut. The performance of the saw and the new blade is just phenomenal. It's as good as I could ever have hoped. So really pleased with that. Little improvements made here and there, and eventually getting this blade dialing in the speed. Along the way, there's been a whole bunch of little adjustments made to the saw. Getting the guides just right, getting the pulley, the speed of the blade right, making sure the wheels are true. Anyway, we're running. I'm just really happy with what I got. All right, I'm gonna finish up the rest of the cuts on this off camera, and then I'll bring you back when I'm ready to finish it up on the table saw. So in case you're wondering, this is the blade that I'm using. It's a Canadian blade, tough tooth. Hadn't heard of them before. Don't see them on Amazon. So yeah, little made in Canada blade with a weld guarantee. So really happy with the result of that. Might reach out to them and say, I like your blades. Anyway, I've taken the log, or what's left of that cant, off the sawmill, and I'm just gonna cut the rest of this on the table saw with a 2-pass cut. So rip it through once this way, flip it over and rip it off again. Then I'm gonna reset the fence to be 1/2 inch, and I'll just start cutting strips again the same way. Rip it through one way, flip it over, rip it through the other way. Just so I do a 1/2 cut every time. 1/2 inch. So we'll get all of this cut into roughly 3 inch, slightly more than 3 inches, 3-inch strips. And then we'll come back to the table saw and start making all of the shiplap out of that raw stock. So I'll set the camera up and you can watch me go through this. All right, we got a bunch of pieces now cut, ready for making into shiplap. This pile over here, most of these pieces have a crack running through the middle of them, so I'm only going to get one strip out of those, and I'll have to do those individually to get them down to, I'll call it a nominal size. Then we got this strip here, which is a little bit wider, and those are clean, although there are some holes you can see right here that went right through the wood, so we'll get sections out of those. These guys are all a good width, consistent. These ones are going to be a little bit narrower, but they're consistent. And then these ones here are just gorgeous pieces of wood that we'll try and get as many strips as we can out of those. So a little bit more cutting, but first, a bite of lunch. So I'm now cutting all these pieces for shiplap, which means I'm putting a groove in this edge, flipping it over, putting a groove in this edge. And then when all those grooves are cut, then I'm going to flip them onto their front and run them through just to get rid of that little piece that we're cutting out. So I have already done this stack. I'm going to move on to this stack next. And then finally our wide stack here. So here's our 3 sizes of shiplap complete. Ready now to put this on the sides of the kiln. So there's our shiplap installed on the front of the wood kiln. Obviously I have to do the sides in the end, sides in the back rather, but that's going to be the look. So mix it up with a couple different size widths, but it all worked out. So I'm going to call that a video for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.